is the last February 28th. Petition time starts for the city council and for the Bronx district attorney. Every 4 years, the Bronx district attorney has to run, and this is the only time that the Bronx district attorney can be political. So let's get on to the news of the day or the week. President Biden visited the Ukraine. He snuck in, saw President Zelensky, and then he held a press conference in the safe area in Poland. Okay, he said that it was nice to see President Zelensky, that it's the 1 year anniversary of the Russian-Ukraine war, and it's a brutal and unjust on the people of the Ukraine while Russia is poised. And what was said that Russia's response to this was that they are ready to start a new barrage on the Ukraine. Meanwhile, it's approximately 8,000 people have died and 13,000 people have been injured. Pardon me. On to the George Santos saga. Well, he just won't go away. And in his first act as a congressperson, he wants the AR-15 assault rifle to be the official gun of the country. And that has, he's backed the bill to do just that. Governor Hochul here in New York has said it is outrageous and appalling that Congressman Santos wants to attach his name to legislation that would designate the AR-15 as a national rifle of the United States. Meanwhile, the governor's security detail is being investigated by the state police for the exact amount of time that they have put in for, or actual time, because it appears that they're being investigated for putting in extra time when they may not have worked it, and that's illegal. Much to the dismay of the New York Assembly members who get nice big donations in their campaigns from the City Teachers Union, Governor Hochul wants to allow 85 more charter schools in New York City. Well, that would mean that the declining public school enrollment, that schools would need less teachers. And the UFT, Union of Failed Teachers, as people have said in the past, and especially here in the Bronx, where the performance level in 2019, before the pandemic, was 67% for children in Bronx public schools, while the other four boroughs, the performance level was over 80% and as high as 84% in one borough. So I wonder what our performance level of the students in the Bronx are now after 2 years of a pandemic. We must be at about 50%, while the other boroughs are still close to 80. Now, State Senator James Skofilis, a Democrat from Hudson Valley, wants to rename the Mario Cuomo Bridge because he and everybody he says still calls it the Tappan Zee Bridge. Now, if this legislation was to be passed by the state legislature, Governor Hochul has said that she will sign it, okay, because she doesn't like the name Mario Cuomo either on the bridge. So let's see what they're going to come up with the bridge. Will it be named the Buffalo Bills Bridge? Will it be named back to the Tappan Zee Bridge or whatever? Now, here in the city, the online newspaper, The City, reported surplus COVID-19 items valued at over $200 million were auctioned off for just $500,000. Then $12 million of former Mayor de Blasio's ventilators were sold for scrap metal at $25,000. It appears that a junk dealer from Long Island took 500,000 pounds in 28 truckloads of merchandise to his junkyard. And no, if you remember the old show Sanford and Son, it wasn't Red Fox, because the beloved Red Fox who starred in that show is no longer with us. But Mayor Adams says that the article is wrong, and he has asked the DCAS, the New York City Department of Citywide Administration Services, to rebut what the city has said. Here is their rebuttal, and I will read it. Recent reporting on COVID supply auctions include significant inaccuracies, lack context. Auctions featured non-medical grade items purchased for 80% less than reported. The New York City Department of Citywide Services DCAS today issued the following statement on the inaccuracy reporting by the news outlet The City on the City of New York's auction surplus non-medical grade supplies originally purchased for COVID-19 response efforts. Recent reporting indicates that $224.5 million worth of COVID supplies were auctioned off by the city for pennies on the dollar. After a thorough review, we determined these numbers were an inaccuracy calculated by a reporter who refused to wait for a proper calculation by DCAS. After the analysis was completed, we took this information to the reporter, who refused to make changes to his story. In reality, items were sold at auction were non-medical grade, and many items up for auction were nearing expiration dates. To be clear, the distorted reporting did a disservice to the facts and dedicated public servants who succeeded in obtaining emergency medical supplies amidst a once-in-a-century pandemic. That is from New York City DCAS Executive Director Nick Benson. It goes further that the facts, the items sold at auction were originally purchased for $42,421,625, just 18.9% of the $224+ million figure the reported inaccuracy claimed. The items sold at auction were non-medical grade, when medical grade supplies were difficult to come by amidst collapsing supply chains in early 2020. Some non-medical grade supplies were purchased as a stopgap measure and held in reserves as the supply chain issue resolved. New York City Department of Mental Health and Hygiene, New York City hospitals, and others advised that these non-medical grade supplies were no longer needed and were nearing their expiration date, that some of the items up for auction with only alternative to donating or auctioning the items was to destroy them. Over 17 million items were previously donated to Ukraine, Indonesia, Uganda, Haiti, South Africa, and more than 24 local community-based organizations, nonprofits to support others in need and avoid waste. Some of the items that haven't been donated have been placed for auction to recover as much revenue as possible to the taxpayers. Because the global COVID supply market is flooded and excess supplies are being sold by governments all over the world, sale prices are a fraction of what governments had to pay at the beginning of the pandemic amidst extremely limited supplies and failed leadership at the federal level. Let's see now. Joe Biden was elected in 2020. That's when he began term. Well, okay. If the city opted not to donate or auction non-expiring items, it would have to pay to warehouse non-medical grade items that medical professionals advised are no longer needed. Now, these were being held in a New Jersey warehouse, not in New York City. And DCAS goes on to say that the New York City Department of Citywide Administration Services makes city government work for all New Yorkers. Our commitment is to equally, effectively, and sustainably guide our work, providing city agencies with the resources and supports they need. They go into details as recruiting, hiring, and training city employees, managing 55 public buildings, acquiring, selling, and leasing city property, purchasing over $1 billion in goods for city services for city agencies, overseeing the greenest municipal vehicle fleet in the country, leading the city efforts to reduce carbon emissions from government operations, and that's it. Now, I have a question when they say managing 55 public buildings. There are about almost 2,000 schools. I know that some of the schools are in leased buildings, but a majority of those 2,000 schools, at least 1,500, are in public buildings. So I can't see how, DCAS says they only manage 55 public buildings, unless they're saying, well, that's the Department of Education, not us. Okay, let's go to some local Bronx news. Bronx Fashion Week 2023 was a huge success last week at the mall in Bay Plaza. You can see many pictures of the event on my blog at www.100%bronx.blogspot.com. That's 100%PERCENTBRONX.blogspot.com. You're going to have to scroll down on the left side in the index to Bronx Fashion Week 2023 so you can see all the pictures. After 7 years as executive director of the 3rd Avenue Business Improvement District, District, Michael Brady, has announced that he will be leaving that post as of March 15th. There is a search committee by the BID to find a replacement for Mr. Brady. You can go to their website if you're looking for that. And good luck to you, Mr. Brady. Tomorrow, by the way, is the 29th annual Bronx Park Speak Up. This is being held at Lehman College in the faculty dining room. First, you go and see some exhibitors who have showed their exhibits of the Bronx, what they're doing. The transportation alternatives will be there, I understand, according to my friend, Mr. Kevin Diola, who will have an exhibit on how to use bicycles rather than using cars. And there will be other exhibits from, say, Hudson River Alliance and many others. The event starts at 11 a.m. and runs through 5 p.m., and lunch will be served. Now, finally, before we go to commercial, the State of the Borough speech by Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson will be given on Wednesday, March 1st at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5 p.m. It will be in the Manhattan College Raymond Kelly Student Center, the 5th floor. You had to reserve you had to respond online, though. It will be broadcast live on BronxNet TV because there probably will be more people who want to be there. So you can check on Optimum Channel 67, Fios Channel 2173. And we are at our commercial break.